This is not only the video for the week of November 17th, but the rest of the year. Not in detail, of course, but an overview of how we can best use the rest of November and December to be ready for a great 2026. Most of you are still in monumental recovery mode, so the training week may look a lot different across the board. This is the base training week that some of you have. Some of you are still training and getting ready for upcoming races, so it will look completely different. Some of you are still in that optional mode of whether you're even running or not. So we'll zoom through that fairly quickly, and then we'll cover the rest of the overview for the year. So the training week, moderate quality workout. There is no high quality workout if you're coming off the end of the season. 3, 2, 1 minutes fast, but aerobic with 2-minute recovery jog and doing 2 or 3 sets of that. The primary objective here is to have fun while you're maintaining a little bit of fitness, but also your biomechanics. If we just do slow running the rest of the year, or until you're really ready to ramp up and start training towards whatever your spring goal may be, there's that period where you have to get back into shape, and we'll have some of that. But you also feel awkward anytime you try to run fast. So doing something simple and fun like this is going to make that a much quicker process when we're ready to hit the gas again. The easy to moderate quality, kind of making that up, but easy moderate run with striders. And I wouldn't push to run moderate or necessarily try to run faster. Just don't hold back. As you're coming back, most of the running is just easy and it comes natural, and needing the mental break, that's what feels right. This run, if you feel a little bit better, let it go. You know, you don't have to push, but it might be 30 seconds faster than most of your running has been to this point. For most of you, 4 to 8 times 100-meter striders, 20, 40s, 30, 60s, however you want to do those striders. But again, we're just trying to maintain mechanics, recruit a few fast twitch fibers, so when we call on those again to run fast towards the end of the month and certainly the beginning of 26, it hasn't been literally months since you've done that and you feel awkward, and injury risk goes up a little bit as well. So we're just trying to do some maintenance things and think ahead. And then the long run is a simple endurance long run. We want to maintain some mental callus. If you don't do any kind of long run for a while and you go out and you do a 10 miler and it's been a long time, 10 miles can mentally feel like 20. You look at your watch and you think, I must be at least 45 minutes into this, and you're 20 minutes into it. So we're trying to maintain a little bit of that mental callus, but also we want you to run kind of up to where, okay, that feels like enough. We're not trying to build endurance here. It's just a little bit of maintenance, trying to keep the mileage at a reasonable level as maybe we're bringing it back. Some of you, again, might not even be running at all this week, so that's fine. But we're thinking about your mental clock as much as your legs and your lungs on that. So there's the week. Again, there's lots of different versions and training peaks for you, but there's the base week. 2025 calendar. Let's look at the rest of the year and how we can best use this. This is a competitive advantage situation, meaning you can get better during this time. And that's not going to be through hard training or high mileage or anything like that. It's just not wasting it. So many people will finish Monumental or whatever race they ran in the October-November timeframe, and when the calendar flips to January, they really don't know what they did since their last race, and they kind of gave away 1, 2, or 3 months of training. And if you want to get better, you can't really be throwing away months. But we do need recovery. So as it is almost all year, we need things in balance. So anyway, 11-17, this is the second week after Monumental. So most of you are still in full-on recovery mode. Some of you are ready to go, want to start running again, and that's fine. We just don't need a whole lot of stress in doing it. If you want to go 2 weeks and not run a step, that's fine too. The key is stop that at 2 weeks, because a body in motion tends to stay in motion, body rest tends to stay at rest. And if you do not have a definite endpoint to your recovery, it kind of muddles on for way too long. You lose more fitness, it's harder to come back, all kinds of negative things happen. So if 11-17 is a 0, that's fine. If it's an easy 3, 4, maybe 5 runs, depending on your mileage. If you've been running 100 miles a week, to come out and run 40 miles in the second week after Monumental is not a big deal. If you've been running 40 miles a week to get ready for Monumental or whatever goal race, and to come back and run 40, that is a big deal. So we don't want that. Occasionally people try to assign percentages to that. And I don't think that really works, because a lot of this is about the mentality and, do I feel like I'm training hard? Do I feel like I'm doing nothing? We want to find that sweet spot where you feel like, yeah, this is right for where I am. I'm still getting some mental recovery. I'm still replenishing those mental reserves that I'm going to need when I'm hitting full training again. So whatever that is for you. I know some of you get really nervous if you're not running enough. So we want to do just enough. We don't want to be back at full load, but that week can look a lot different. Week of 11-24, we want to be back to regular running. This is assuming Monumental. So you can adjust this schedule for whatever your goal race was. For those of you who are in Chicago, I know most of you are back at it if you didn't come back and run Monumental as well. But 11-24, we want to be back to regular running. If you're running 6-7 days a week, regular running might mean 5 days a week. A couple of those easier days, they might be cross-training or off days, and that's fine. But we want to be back to feeling like I'm a runner. This is what I do. It's Monday, here, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. Here's what we're doing. So back to regular running. The week of December 1st, the routine should look similar to what it did at your peak training. Not the mileage, not the intensity necessarily. We're going to get back to that. But if we look at your week, it should resemble what you were doing before, just a lower level of it. The week of 12-8, if you're not already back to workouts, because most of you will start seeing those long before the week of 12-8. But if you haven't done any workouts by 12-8, we want to start doing those. And they'll start with moderate quality workouts. We don't need anything terribly hard. Again, this is the time of year we want that mental refreshment. But we're back to workouts if you're not already there. The week of 12-15, this might come as a shock to some of you. That's 18 weeks before Carmel Marathon and Boston Marathon. Because those two are goal races for many of you, I think it's important to point that out. Now, some of you might be going later, some of you might be going sooner, but 12-15, it's time. And when you're thinking about the 2026 Carmel Marathon, half marathon, or you're thinking about Boston Marathon 2026, it seems like I shouldn't have to be training for that in 2025. And no, we don't need a 20-miler necessarily the week of 12-15, but it's time to start thinking about that, because when that calendar flips and you realize I have 16 weeks or a little bit less, and now you're starting to feel nervous about, do I have enough time to get ready? So we need to start thinking about that, be aware of it. Again, we just want to be doing a little bit more. The week of 12-22, for the vast majority of you, there's going to be a lot of time demands with Christmas, whether that's at work, work holiday parties, or just celebrating Christmas with your family, travel, that's school break for the kids, so you might be traveling during that period. That's a rough week. So do the best you can. If we've done a good job up to that point, and that week looks a little bit rough when all is said and done, that's fine. It's not a big deal. It's 1 week. But that's why we can't give away all of these weeks, because we get down there and then we give away that week, and that's more trouble. The week of 12-29, all right, let's go. That includes obviously the beginning of 2026, but at that point, we're ready to go and get back to it, and things should start looking very normal by that point. So if we boil this down to 2 points, we want to be in the state of ascension as we go through this week, and then next week, 12-17, maybe there was very little or nothing, and that's okay. That's probably a good thing. But each week we want to start doing a little bit more. That might go backwards a little bit the week of Christmas, and then 12/29 we're ascending again. And then we also want to be in a state of ascension through this period, but at low mental cost. And here, going back to the mathematical equation of this, how much should you drop mileage for this time of year? Again, I don't think you can do that because it's such a mental issue. But if we think about, if a normal Monday for you is 6 miles and 4 miles feels like I did nothing, okay, run 4 to 5 miles. Don't go to 6 if that feels like, oh, I'm already back in the grind. You don't want to feel that way. But do enough that you feel like, okay, I did something. I can check that box off today. I'm making progress each week. We're doing a little bit more. So find that spot where it's mentally easy. You're not challenging yourself mentally, because when we get down to the bottom of the year at 12/29, that's when we're going to start doing that again. So hopefully that helps not only give a look at maybe what you can be doing this week, but also how we're going to use the rest of this year to have you ready for 2026.